Hello and welcome to another audio analysis. In today's video we'll be taking a look at the track Dark Void by the British rock band Asking Alexandria. At this point they really do have to be classified as a rock band because they've definitely moved away from their metalcore beginnings that we did see with most of their original albums before Dennis Stoff would take over on The Black, and then since Danny Worsnop has returned they've definitely gone for a much more hardcore, maybe post-hardcore feel, really dropping some of those metal elements and really going for something much more anthemic, these songs that were designed to fill stadiums and have this much wider sort of radio friendly sound, and that's what we've seen over the past couple of albums, and it'll be interesting to see whether they're going to continue that sound with this most recent track, as they have been citing they were potentially going to return to something slightly heavier. And the newer approach to their sound has certainly at times shown glimpses of hope. Songs such as Alone Again, Into the Fire, some of these singles they have been releasing have had this really powerful anthemic feel with these really strong drawn out notes, because Danny Worsnop has got an incredibly strong voice, which doesn't feel like he's putting it to full effect on some of these more recent tracks, and hopefully we'll see a change with this one. So will this latest track be able to escape into the light or remain simply in the dark void? Let's take a look at exactly how it sounds. So already we can see they're trying to go for something a little bit heavier by bringing in some of these slightly heavier screams, not full metalcore or deathcore, but I don't think we'll ever see that kind of range from Danny again. I think they are kind of sticking to more of this post-hardcore sound by trying to throw in just some occasional heavier elements, and already we can see this electronic sound really being brought in just at the beginning of the track as well, just kind of really have this opening for the actual song. But certainly interesting to see how they're kind of blending in some electronic stuff already when they're considering going for something slightly heavier.
If you're scratching the surface, try to find a purpose, I wonder what the depth will find. Trapped inside the prison of my mind, and I'm sick of messing up, but forgetting now. Every time I try to stop, I fall apart. Lost it down, I'm searching for a glimpse of hope. I'm sick of messing up, but forgetting now.
So already with this first verse we can start to see where this track is aiming to go. This idea of being trapped inside the prison of your own mind and your nightmares taking over every part of your thoughts, really just corrupting all of your great memories and things like that. I'm not overly keen on one of the lyrics in the first verse though. I wonder what the dead would find. It feels like it doesn't belong in that particular verse. I like this idea of kind of digging things up, lost deep down. So this idea that you're buried 6 feet under, you're in a place where you can't escape from, but I don't really get this idea of I wonder what the dead would find. So who are the dead that are kind of looking under the surface of your skull, of your memories or things like that? Doesn't feel like it quite fits. But I like the idea of this prison, this idea of sick of messing up, this idea that you try, but you just can't get out of this void that has enveloped your headspace, and it's just, you get to a point where you just really want to give up. And in the chorus we do see more of these electronic elements being used, which I'm not overly keen on. For something that's trying to be a little bit heavier, I do feel like they kind of take away from that style that the band have been aiming towards with the more recent music they are working on. Outside of that though, we have got some more lyrics that really do show this idea of having that self-belief, believe in me and set me free. The idea of dragging your memories through the dark void, almost kicking and screaming, trying to pull them out of a burning building that is your mind that's been enveloped by darkness. So I quite like that particular lyric, and this idea of just let me be my savior. It's almost like you're begging yourself to kind of just get rid of this negative headspace. It's almost like you're kind of begging, pleading, and you need something to help you crawl out of the darkness. So there are a couple of lyrics that still kind of conflict where this song is aiming to go.
If you're digging through the dirt to see what you can find inside, trapped inside the prison of my mind, and I'm trying to live in the moment. Can't escape the darkness, it's been dragging me down.
And we've got them mixing in more styles into this. It almost feels like at times Danny really wants to break into almost rap, and I'm not keen on the way they're trying to blend so many different things into this one track. We've got the electronic elements, the rock elements, those slightly more sort of post-hardcore screamo elements, and just there's too many things going on. It really kind of breaks away from the cohesion of this track. It feels like there's four or five different things all trying to get to the same end goal, but they're not quite connecting and working as a team. It feels like everyone's just kind of doing their own thing, and it's just really feeling like at times this track does feel a little bit disjointed.
Inside this nightmare that's taking every part of me. One more chance to fall asleep inside this nightmare that's taking every part of me.
So before we get into the breakdown, I'd imagine it's coming right up next. There's one lyric I want to touch on that I'm not overly keen on. Give me hope for the hopeless. Now this is a track that's really reflecting on your inner self, about breaking out of the actual dark void yourself. So this idea of give me hope, it almost like sounds like it's reaching out to somebody else, which kind of breaks this idea that we've seen of just let me be my saviour, please. So it's almost introspective, and then you've got that one lyric that just doesn't feel like it quite fits in the chorus. Give me hope for the hopeless. It's almost like you're reaching out that hand for help, and whilst it would fit in most tracks if you were kind of tying on that idea more, for this track that is solely focused on crawling out of the darkness yourself, it just feels like it's jammed in there and really doesn't belong with the rest of the chorus.
One more chance to fall asleep inside this nightmare that's taking every part of me. Drag these memories through the dark void.
Yeah, I do kind of like how we had that build towards the end. We also had a little bit of a pace change, but it again adds to this idea that I think this track has got too many things going on to really help it fit together as one track. We saw these pace changes, we saw these mixing sounds of electronic, rock, metal. There's just too much going on. It didn't feel like a track that really grabbed you because you didn't know which kind of sound and which style to focus on, and it just meant that you had a lot of really cool elements in little bits and pieces. It was like a jigsaw that just wouldn't quite fully fit together. So I do think they have slightly hit the mark with a couple of the ideas they were going for. A track that really wanted to focus on this idea of escaping out of your own dark place in your mind, and some of the lyrics really did cover that very well, but occasionally there was a lyric in there or two that really misfired on where the track was trying to go, and it kind of disjointed from itself at times and really lost that kind of meaning with a few of these lyrics that were thrown in. But I do like the idea of kind of having this dark void about kind of pulling your memories out of a burning building and really trying to salvage what you could. But for a track that was really kind of trying to find this idea of hope and a way to escape, it certainly just felt like it quite missed the mark. And musically, we did have some really strong elements being brought in. We saw some really strong guitar and drum work coming in from the rest of the band, and really just saw this almost melodic sound coming in towards the end with the faster pace that was quickly being brought in just to round out the track. But it still at times felt like there was just a little bit of disjointment between some of the members. They all they all had really cool parts that they were kind of working on, but it just again didn't fully feel like it just fit together as a whole. One thing we did see though was them kind of resort to some slightly heavier elements compared to what we have seen on previous albums. They have been teasing that we're making a return to a slightly heavier sound. As I said, I don't think we'll go back to that kind of deathcore, metalcore sound that the band started out with. I think they're kind of going to stick with this slightly lighter touch, but I'd be interested to see how some of the rest of the singles that they will hopefully release from this upcoming 8th studio album and see how they actually do sound. So that'll be everything for today's video, but as always, feel free to let me know your thoughts about this track in the comments section below. Do you feel like it's one of the strongest tracks the band have released in terms of recent times, or do you kind of agree that it feels a little bit disjointed, like there's too many things going on? I would love to know your thoughts. And as always, if you want to see more content like this, then please do feel free to subscribe, and I will see you in the next audio analysis.